All right, 3 questions there. John Anthony, what is on the rundown, my man?
All right. What if Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas was as concerned with potholes as with the Chiefs?
Well, then he'd be taking a lot of selfies with potholes. Imagine. This guy, listen, he's the mayor of Kansas City. He got very lucky being the mayor during this historic time in this town for the Chiefs. And he happens to love social media. So I don't blame him. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. But my goodness, his social media timeline is nothing but Chiefs, 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 Chiefs all day, every day. And imagine if you went around town this week, potholes are starting to become craters and the whole thing. And he took selfies with city manager Brian Platt in front of big old potholes. And they just, had these big grins on their faces as the potholes were getting filled. I would appreciate that, because the Chiefs and their success is great. And obviously we're all rooting for them. But none of us have any bearing whatsoever on their success on the field. I like to joke that as we start year 7 of the show in the next couple of months, I show up and this team goes to 6 straight AFC titles. But I say that jokingly. I think the mayor does, a part of him, believe that their success is somehow tied to him, and simply not true. So, Mr. Mayor, give me some more selfies in front of big craters on Warnell. How about that? And less thing around the Chiefs, maybe?
There was a Instagram post I think he posted yesterday, him helping somebody fill a pothole. So he might be listening. He might be taking your advice.
Let me confirm this before we go any further. All right? Let me just make sure that you're not BSing me here, Mark. Instagram, here we go. I see him and Pelosi. Is it on the official account or the personal account?
I was on our KCMO account and I saw it.
I don't see it on his personal, but maybe there's
It might have been in his stories.
Oh yeah, there he is on the stories. Okay, all right, Mark, you're right. Follow us on Instagram, KCMO Talk Radio. I'm on there at Pete Mundo. What's next, John?
Well, all the science and tech feeds were showing that they think there's a lake on Mars, and that was actually a pothole over on Prospect. That got, the thing got turned around. So, all right, moving on. What if blaming, using that word, blaming, actually means holding accountable? That's a big story in the news. Republicans blame Mayorkas.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff from you. Well, first off, then the media would be telling the truth, is how I would answer that. What's really going on in this potential impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the Homeland Security Secretary, it's not about blaming him for anything, to your point. It's about looking at this guy and saying, dude, your job is to literally protect the border, and you have been derelict in your duty since day one, courtesy of your boss, by the way, but still, someone's got to pay the price. I mean, I think that you could make a strong political argument for impeaching Joe Biden over his handling of the border. Like, I don't think that's a bridge too far. 8.5 million people, give or take, and putting 330 million Americans at risk, not because most of those 8.5 million people want to do harm to any of us. They don't. I think most of them want to kind of, just get to America because, well, despite what people tell you, it's still the greatest country and greatest experiment in the history of mankind.
Touche.
But if it's a 0.1% of bad actors coming in, that's still too many. And you don't know who they are, and you don't know where they're coming from, and you don't know what they're motivated by. So I think the case is pretty strong, but you're right, John. It's funny how you see the headlines. Blame Mayorkas. No, it's really just holding the man accountable for a job that he is not doing, John.
Yeah, the border #insurrection, right?
Yeah.
All right, finally here. What if you knew how to replace a light switch?
Wow, way to rub it in there. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, then I wouldn't have spent 2 hours last night in the dark trying to fix a dimmer that I somehow screwed up. So literally it was 15 minutes before dinner last night. And I've been replacing all the outlets around the house just to get, the new pretty white ones in over the old, kind of musty ones.
The cream ones.
Yeah. So I'm just going around the house, taking my time doing it. So last night before dinner, I said to Chloe, my 2-year-old, I'm like, hey, come over here, help me. I got a light switch I want to replace. I'd only been doing outlets. It's a light switch next to a dimmer. So I open it up. I pull out the light switch. The dimmer's new. The dimmer's fine. But, it's kind of tough to shake out. So I pull out the dimmer, and in the process, the red wire came out of wherever it was. So I'm like, gosh, I don't know where this damn thing was. I don't know what I'm looking at. I can replace the light switch. I can replace the outlet. But if I'm doing dimmer wires, I'm like, this is good. If it's more than 2 wires or 3 wires, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. It's one of those skills I wish I had, just like fixing cars, but I just don't have it, unfortunately. So then I'm taking it suddenly, like an hour and a half, I'm texting buddies. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And they're like, all right, well, just, try this, try that. Finally, I put the red with the green into a black, which doesn't make any sense, but the light comes on. But now I'm afraid with the green wire in with the red wire, in with the black wire, I'm going to burn the house down. So I've got the fuse still turned off. I'm going to take the green out because there's no copper to ground it as far as I can tell. And just try to still have a home by tomorrow morning. Literally a 15-minute project with a 2-year-old turned into 2 hours of a nightmare last night. Which tells you all you need to know.
That's the way that goes.
I guess. But I'm like, this is the last headache I need right now. But I did it to myself, so shame on me. Any advice on the text line, I'll take at 913-408.
Should be coming momentarily.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, because there's a lot of people with a lot more talent in that space than me.
IBEW will want to talk to you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm very limited in some of this stuff. But I know that. Like they say, know your shortcomings, know your limitations. And in the meantime, I try not to burn the house down.